Good morning and Happy New Year. I'm here to talk today about New Year's resolutions, which is one of the three options that Reverend Kusnoki gave us for our talks this morning. I'm a big believer in New Year's resolutions because they seem to hold so much promise for positive change. I don't know about you, but I generally tend to stick to the same two themes year after year for my resolutions. The first of these, like many of you, I'm sure, is to do some kind of physical exercise. The second is to take time out each day for meditation. I guess when you think about it, ultimately, I'm looking for a quieter life that lasts for a little bit longer. Interestingly, I've had some luck in the past with my resolutions to exercise, but when it comes to meditation, they never seem to stick. And I find myself wondering every year why this is so. Yesterday, while I was poking around the internet, I found an article by a psychiatrist named Vanessa Raymond that provided some answers to why this might happen to us. The title of the piece was How to Make New Year's Resolutions That Actually Work. The author had some surprisingly good suggestions. First of all, she said we should make a grid that states not just what we will gain by a resolution, but also what we will lose. For example, when we make a resolution to go to the gym instead of watching Netflix, we gain in that we get healthy and we look good, but we also lose valuable time to decompress and relax. The grid idea made sense to me, so I decided to try it. The first square was easy. Based on my experience meditating here at the Seattle Betsuine, I know that I have a lot to gain from meditation. I always feel better after sitting, no doubt about it. Even if I've had a rotten morning, after I sit, everything seems to come into perspective. The second square was harder. What would I be losing by meditating for 20 minutes a day? I would be losing a little bit of time, but I'm not so insanely busy that I can't spare 20 minutes a day for something important. In thinking about it further, I realized that mostly what I would be losing are ways of distracting myself from the underlying chaos that is constantly swirling around just under the surface of my mind. I know that this chaos exists because I see it every Sunday morning when I sit down to meditate. It comes in a kind of wave, and then it slowly subsides. It usually takes about 15 minutes for it to go away. If I can withstand that wave, then I can calm my mind. It's sort of like waiting for a tensed-up muscle to relax. To be honest, though, it can be a rough 15 minutes. And I generally end up forcing myself to come simply because I volunteered to lead the session. When I'm on my own at home, I generally opt out and tend to fill my free time with mind-numbing distractions like television or online shopping. So I guess the second square of my grid would be I would lose my ability to be distracted. So now that I had finished this first task, I turned back to the article to find out what to do next. The author's next step was to scale down expectations and promise yourself some kind of reward to offset what you're losing. So instead of going for the gold standard like meditating every day, I decided to start out with a bite-sized, reasonable piece and reward myself handsomely for each success. This sounded more doable, and it called to mind something I once heard Reverend Mark Uno say at the White River Buddhist Temple. He challenged his audience to raise their hand if they would be willing to make a pledge to stand in front of their abutsudan in Gasho for 7 breaths every day for an entire year. Every day sounds like a lot, but I think that 7 breaths might just be attainable for me. I haven't yet decided what to reward myself with. I'll have to keep thinking on that one. The author suggested things like more screen time, a nap, or even cold hard cash. In the meantime, I think I've hit upon a good first step toward some kind of meditation practice. For those whose interest might be piqued by this 7-breath resolution, I thought we'd all give it a try right now to see what it looks like. But I'll end my talk with 7 breaths in Gasho. But before we start, I wanted to thank you all for coming today and listening to my Dharma talk. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda.
Good morning. Happy New Year. You being here means 2 things. They're both good. Number 1, you survived 2018. Number 2, you survived New Year's Eve. So what I wanted to talk about, well, first I wanted to mention something. It changed a little about my appearance. It's coming back, but every year or so, I have to shave my beard to see if there's a chin underneath, which, to be fair, my grandfather didn't have one. My father didn't have one. So the odds were pretty low to begin with. So when I shaved this year, what I found was 2 chins. So let's talk about resolutions. I was actually thinking about this just as we were chanting Sambutsuge, because if you read Sambutsuge, this is the story of the Bodhisattva Dharmakara, who, upon achieving what's in the Sambutsuge, he became Amida Buddha. So these are vows. They're resolutions. So please join me in Gasho. I'm going to read one of the lines from the Sambutsuge. When I become a Buddha, my land will be the finest. All the beings there will be exquisitely beautiful. My country will be like nirvana, a place of practice transcendent beyond words, without equal. In my compassion, I will enlighten all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. So, Bodhisattva Dharmakara undertakes the effort to create a land, a pure land, a land of perfection where all sentient beings can come and attain enlightenment on their own. So I think you might have gotten the cards for the New Year's resolutions, and you might be looking down at those thinking like, well, take that, go to the gym 3 days a week. It's a big request. It is a big vow. It's a large resolution. And the reason that we put so much stock in it is that we understand what it takes to be perfect. Amida Buddha, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, went through an extremely long period of time to actually achieve that goal. And we appreciate that effort, that extreme effort to create that kind of compassion and wisdom for us to become enlightened. That's what we are thankful for. But we don't always meet our resolutions, and I want to talk about the lesson that I learned this year within the temple. It was so Reverend Dr. Nobuo Haneda in his talk this year. he came and he talked about 3 phases of the founder, Shinran Shonin's life. And the first phase of that life he called thinking. And he talked about him at the age of 9 just pushing himself to go into to enter the temple and reading all of the sutras multiple times and going through these extreme endeavors to sort of live up to the goal of a bodhisattva, to be this person that becomes enlightened in this lifetime. And he struggles with this. Toward the end of his time on Mount Hiei, he says this isn't working. I'm not any closer. I'm not any better. And that begins phase 2, where Dr. Haneda calls it thinking/hearing. He starts to listen to the story of Amida Buddha, and he starts to say the name, to say the Nembutsu, to say Namo Amida Butsu, and to accept the compassion that comes from this perfection. And that leads to the 3rd phase of his life, which Dr. Haneda just calls hearing. So for the rest of his life, Shinran Shonin listens to that compassion, to the expression of that compassion that comes from Amida Buddha. It's a sense of sort of forgiving yourself that extreme effort, to forgive yourself those failures. And it's good not to say don't keep going to the gym, right? If that's if that's what you feel you need in your life, then that's important. But to understand that you are okay as you are, and to be able to accept that forgiveness is one of the great teachings in Jodo Shinshu. So with that, I wish you a safe and happy 2019. Thank you all for coming this morning, and I look forward to sharing the year with you. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone. This is the year of the boar, which is my year. My wife has always said every day, "You're a boar." So this is going to be a good year. I also wanted to talk about resolutions and maybe take up where Reverend Matt left off. And, because that's the basis of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, or Pure Land Buddhism, is the vow, which, or resolution, which is the fulfilled vow of Dharmakara Bodhisattva, becoming Amida Buddha. What that vow means is it's a transformative vow. It's encompassing all sentient beings suffering and transforming that into enlightenment. This last year, last month in December, I had a chance to go to Chicago to visit my son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter. And my granddaughter has profound medical issues. And she's had probably, 12, 14 surgeries in her 1.5 years of life. And it's been extremely difficult. And she's so happy. It's just amazing. She's communicating by sign language now. 1.5 years, she has about 200 signs that she makes. I started picking some up, and I've already forgotten them. But I love the one for surprise. This is surprise. So my daughter-in-law has on her cell phone, she has a guide, someone who tells you about all the signs, you know. And I was talking to my son when he picked me up from the airport. He talked about the pain that he sees his daughter going through, and the difficulty and the precariousness of her life day to day. That my son and daughter-in-law have been at the end of their rope since the day after their daughter was born. She had to have major surgery one day after her birth. And he said, if there's a just God, he said, I can't believe in it. But Buddhism, like Dharmakara's vow, it's a response to the nature of life, which is pain. Buddhism very clearly says we start with the experience of suffering. All conditioned existence is subject to change. Birth leads to sickness, old age, and death. Right? But what is the response to that? And he said, I've been to the Children's Hospital in Chicago. I've seen what other people are going through, and it's like an awareness, a community, but an awareness of how much suffering is in this world, and simultaneously the medical staff that is responding to it. The people who are highly trained, who are highly motivated and devoted to working with these children who are going through so much. See, that's Dharmakara's vow. It's the transformative means it's ennobling life. And I think this is something that in my family we've all seen. They have in-home nursing, and they've had a number of different people who have come, and some of them, but some of them are really dedicated. Some of them will leave my granddaughter, just leave her in the crib, for hours without any stimulation. Others, they're taking her out, take those steps, walk. We want to see you walk. We want to see you play. Sign. And they're learning sign language. So it's that work, that effort, that reaching out. And that's Dharmakara's vow, to embrace all of life, the joy, the happiness, the pleasure, the suffering, the agony, to embrace it all. That's the universal vow. Now, I was going to talk about I always think how petty my resolutions are. I was going to get up here and brag that you're going to have to hold me to this. I'm going to give up ice cream for 2019. That's a biggie for me. I'm going to give up ice cream and eating past 9 o'clock at night, where I consume the majority of my calories in the day. And I think, okay, that's my vow. That's why, I am so far from enlightenment. I mean, it is so remote. If embracing all phenomena, all sentient beings, and transforming from ignorance into enlightenment, embracing all pain and suffering, that's our goal. My goal is giving up ice cream for 2019 and not eating past 9 o'clock. Not eating past 9 o'clock, I've made it to September in past years, but I've never made it through the year. So it's good. It's important to make vows because it reminds us of what the vow, the primal vow, the fundamental universal vow of Jodo Shinshu is all about. So again, have a good year, a happy year, and a dedicated year, to reaching out and going beyond our individuality, our individual needs, to try to reach out to the world of suffering, to the world of joy. Thank you.
明けましておめでとうございます。A Happy New Year. Thank you for coming to this New Year's Day service this morning. About 500 years ago, at the our eighth religious leader, Renya Shonin's time, one of his disciples or one of his Dharma friends came to visit him on the New Year's Day. His name is Dotoku. Then first, Renya Shonin met him. Renya Shonin asked Dotoku, "How old are you now?" Say Nembutsu, say Namo Amida Butsu. This was the New Year's greeting for Renya Shonin. So whatever our age is, we should say Namo Amida Butsu. To welcome the new year, we start with Namo Ami, saying Namo Amida Butsu. This was Renya Shonin's New Year's greeting. So here, we are here today. I really appreciate all of you to attend this service this morning. So we can start with saying Namo Amida Butsu and greet to the Amida Buddha. Then we can begin the year of 2019. So everybody is talking about New Year's resolution. Then last year, just exactly 1 year ago, I think I introduced my New Year's resolution here at the New Year's Day service. It was number 1, remember the Betsin's members' names and faces. Bad. I have to work on that. Then the second one, keep the Betsin clean and organized. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think we are doing fine. Keep the Betsin clean and organized. Then number 3, the lunch, study classes. So it was in September, October, I started the Wednesday night study class. So that was one of my New Year's resolutions. So I tried. Then from this year also, I try my best to continue having this kind of study class. Then number 4, I'd like to skip this one, but do exercise 3 days a week. Bad. Then the last one, number 5, was go a cafe once a month, because Seattle has a lots of cafeteria. So I wanted to visit different cafes. At the beginning, we are doing okay, but second half of the 2018, it was not so good. Maybe I didn't remember this New Year's resolution. Sometimes, when I met the members, some people are asking me about this. How is the New Year's resolution going? Go to a cafe once a month. Yeah. But I couldn't. Yeah, that was so-so. The beginning was okay, but gradually I became lazy. Then yesterday, I was thinking the 2019 New Year's resolutions. Then I believe everybody has a New Year's resolution card. At the door, you can get the New Year's resolution card. So if you fill out the New Year's resolution card today, I give you the stamp, Seattle Betsin's stamp. So that mine is number 1, 2019 New Year's resolution, complete the Hoshiki Kihan English translation project. So I think I'm working on maybe over 4 years. So there is a Honganji ritual guidebook. So that's all written in Japanese. So there's so many details. So for the New Year's Day, the setup is this and this and this. Then one example service program is this and this and this. Then even how to hold this, we call this chuke, how to hold this orange, how to wear this. So there are so many details of Jodo Shinshu rituals. Nobody translated this book before. Then somehow I started 5 years ago. Then now this is not just my project. This is Honganji International Office's project. So then we are hoping to complete this project at the end of this year. So beginning next year's New Year's Day, I may show you, hey, here is the English translation of Hoshiki Kihan. That's my first resolution. Then number 2 is maybe make visitation more often. So now I can see lots of people here at the Betsin every Sunday, but lots of people who used to come to Betsin, but they are not able to come to the Sunday service anymore because of their health issue maybe. So then, because I'm still lots of people who I don't know. So that's why I would like to make a visitation more. So that's my second New Year's resolution. Number 3, the organize more educational program. So I would like to start more having educational program here at the Seattle Betsin. So in January, March, and May, I already scheduled Wednesday night study classes. Then in February, I invited Kuwahara Sensei, Reverend Kuwahara, to give us a lecture on Kyogyo Shinsho. Kyogyo Shinsho is one of Shinran Shonin's writings. Then in May, this is kind of annual event, but Dr. Haneda is coming to give us a lecture. And also in April, we have Iko Sangha seminar, workshop? Seminar. Iko Sangha seminar is also scheduled. So already, first half of the year, we have lots of study class, educational program is going on. So then now I have to think about second half of 2019. So this is number 3. Then number 4, do exercise once a week. I try my best. Then number 5, the last one is kind of my hobby, but stroll in Seattle. So when I came to Seattle, my wife bought the tourist guidebook, Japanese. In Japanese, we call it Chikyū no Arukikata, the Seattle version. Then there are so many informations in the book. But yesterday I looked at the book. Most of the places I still don't know. So maybe this year I have that book. Then I also have Chinook book. Then go to visit different restaurants. I can get the discount. Then I can enjoy more, living in Seattle. So this is my New Year's resolutions. So now you have New Year's resolution card. So please try to fill out the form. Then I give you a stamp. So thank you for coming to New Year's Day service this morning. So I hope I see you at the Sunday service every Sunday. So please join me in Gassho to conclude my Dharma message. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.